If you're considering purchasing a Walabot visual stud finder for your home, you're probably wondering what the differences are between the Walabot DIY2 and the DIY2M. Well, in this video, I'm going to break down all of the features of each and a major difference that you will want to know about before you make your purchase. Let me break it down. When it comes to physical size, the devices are identical. They're the exact same height and width. It's like Walabot used the same chassis but just changed the pattern on the front to be a little bit different. One thing you're going to notice with my DIY2M, Walabot recently released their Wall Attach, which sticks to the front of your Walabot and enables you to stick it to the back of your phone. This way you don't have to use two hands to scan the wall, you can use one. I only have mine attached to my DIY2M. I did not get one for my DIY2. The process for connecting your Walabot to your smartphone is identical for both the DIY2 and 2M. They both use the same Walabot app that you will install on your smartphone, and it connects via Wi-Fi. Now, one point of clarification, because I get questions about this all the time. That does not mean you have to have a Wi-Fi signal in the room where you're going to be scanning. It simply means that the Walabot broadcasts a Wi-Fi signal that your phone is going to pick up in order for the app to connect to it. To connect, you follow the prompts in the app, and it is a very simple process. To reconnect after you've connected the first time is even easier. And once you have that connection made, you're ready to do some scans. Both devices require that you calibrate them using the app and your Walabot against the wall before you do your scans. And this is one of the things that I actually love about the Walabot, because it's learning about your walls before you start to scan for the objects that you're looking for. Now, as we scan my test wall with the DIY2M, you'll notice that it gives you a visual view of what's behind the wall. You'll notice it finds the wooden stud, it finds the electrical wire, it finds a copper pipe, another wooden stud, a galvanized pipe, and a PEX pipe, and then another wooden stud. And on the screen, you will see the visualization of exactly what is behind the wall. Now, as we follow the same process with the DIY2, you will notice that it does the exact same thing as we scan the test wall. It notices the wooden stud, the electrical wire, the copper pipe, another wooden stud, the galvanized pipe, the PEX pipe, and one more wooden stud, all with a visual representation of what's behind the wall. As you can see from the scans, both devices do a great job on what I would call a pretty standard wall in a newer construction home. And that's what my test wall mimics, because it has all the different pipes and wiring behind the drywall that both devices can scan and find easily. But what about when you get into heating and cooling ductwork or other thinner galvanized piping for a dryer vent, as an example? How do these devices handle that? As you can see from the scans, the Walabot DIY2M was able to find the wooden stud without issue, but it characterized the large vent pipe as a stud, then a metal stud, and even as a pipe at the end. It then found the next wooden stud perfectly and portrayed the 4-inch galvanized pipe as a metal stud. Since this larger vent pipe is so wide and close to the wall, the Walabot couldn't clearly show what was there. However, when you see a reading such as this, it's a clear indicator that there are likely pipes in that area, which tells you to avoid drilling there. The DIY2 experienced very similar readings. It found the wooden stud and then couldn't clearly discern what that larger vent pipe was either, characterizing it as a wooden stud. It then found the actual wooden stud and also displayed the 4-inch vent pipe as a metal stud. The beauty of this is both devices showed that there was something behind the wall, making sure that you know that you may not want to drill in that location. But there are two differences between these two devices, and with the DIY2, it has a little something that's called Expert Mode. And when we switch to Expert Mode and run that same exact scan, we find that it finds the wooden stud easily, it shows the edge of the vent, comes across and shows that it's still there, and actually with the radar image you see, it shows a similar distance behind the drywall. But when you get to the end of the vent, it shows something very cool. If you look carefully, you can see the gap between the vent and the wooden stud, which is a huge benefit of Expert Mode. But as I moved forward, it found that wooden stud, it found the 4-inch pipe and shows the far edges of the pipe, and then it found that final wooden stud. If you're a beginner DIYer or you're just looking for a basic visual depiction of the fact that something is behind the wall, the DIY2M is going to be a solid choice. However, if you feel like you could benefit from the expert mode and that radar picture of what's behind the wall, the DIY 2 is going to be a great selection for you. And there is one more difference, and that is price. The DIY 2 is typically about $30 more than the DIY 2M, so if you're looking to save a little bit of cash, the DIY 2M is going to be a solid option for you. But if you feel like you need that expert mode included, add the additional $30 and get your DIY 2. Whichever one you go with, you're going to get a solid stud finder. I have both, I use both, and I love them both equally. But if you're looking for a little bit of a deeper dive on the DIY 2, you might want to check out this video. And until the next time, keep doing it yourself.